welcome to Sarah's Stamping Retreat. Today we're going to explore some different ways to use our dies, and to do that I'm going to use this die set that is part of the latest Indigo Blue Magazine box kit. So you get a lovely kit with this box, which I'll show you in a second, and then you also get the magazine, which will include the cards that I'm showing you today. And the magazine is absolutely packed full of ideas from different designers that show you different ways to use the kit, and it's really lovely because it's done by all different designers. You get so many different styles and techniques. It's really nice. So you get the die set, which coordinates with this stamp set. So obviously this one cuts out this, you've got this to cut out this, you've got the light bulb to cut out this, and you've also got the bird that cuts out this. And then you can see that this has got some really nice kind of textury type stamps on it as well, some sentiments, this pretty flowers. Then you've got these gorgeous texture stencils, and then we've also got this paper pack, and I really love this one. So you've got all the cut apart pieces here, another set of cut aparts, you've got some really kind of subtle patterns, and then you've got some kind of big bold ones as well. Love this. And it's really nice to have kind of like simple easy ones like this. You could use that on so many different projects. This one's gorgeous, really bold. I really like having the text and the numbers too. And then we're back to the beginning, so you get 2 of each sheet. So let's get on and make some cards. So for this first card, I've got 2 5-inch sage green circles, and then this 4 3/4-inch circle I've cut from paper from the pack. And I'm going to use this Abandoned Coral Distress Oxide spray. I'm going to spray it from quite high up because I want it to be a bit of a light spray. And I'll set that aside to dry for a second. So while that's drying, I'm just going to make my focal piece. So I've stamped and coloured this piece, and then I've cut it with the coordinating die. And then I've also stamped and coloured this other one, and I'm just going to cut out some pieces to layer. I did colour all 3 of the flowers. I think I'm going to cut out these 2, and then maybe the centre of this one, the kind of like foremost bits of it. So then I'm going to add some fine pads behind these pieces. And then I'll pop them up to give them that kind of decoupage effect. So I'm going to bring this back in, which is nearly dry already. And I'm going to glue that to the front of this piece here. So then I've just die cut this with a circle from the paper pack, and I've got the next size die up, and I'm going to create an aperture in the front of here. So then I want to make this into a card blank. So I'm going to grab my trimmer. I'm going to put the other green circle in at 1/2 inch and cut that off, and that will stop the card from wobbling when it's put together. And then I'm going to turn that over, put it in at 1/2 inch again, and just score that. So I've lined this up with that nice straight line so that I know that this is parallel. Then I'm going to add some glue above here, and I'm going to add this onto here. So then we've got our circle card blank, and you can see that this is the bit that makes it stand up, so it's not rocking and rolling now. So then I'm going to add some fine pads to the back of my circle sentiment. And then I'm going to add that onto here. So I'm adding it through the aperture. And then I've got this flower piece that we did earlier. So I'm going to glue that on. And then I'm just going to add a fine pad behind this bird that I've just literally stamped in the black and then die cut with the die that goes with it. So then I really like how that turned out. And that little spritz, I think, has really added something to that paper in the background as well. So then for my next card, I've got a white 5x5 card blank, and this is the inside of the card And again, I'm going to use that abandoned coral spray. And I'm going to spray from high up. I'm going to spray through this stencil. I'm keeping moving the stencil so that we get kind of different levels of colour in different areas of it. And also to kind of hide those stencil edges a bit as well. And I quite like how that looks now, kind of a bit graphic. Then this is dried and I want to create a Z-fold card, but I'm going to do some partial die cutting first. So I want to draw a pencil line where the fold line is going to be. So that is halfway across, so 2.5 inches across this front panel. I want to draw a line down. And then what I want to do is just line up this over the line, and I want 2 of them, so I want to line it up so there's enough space for a second one to come under the bottom. So I'm going to line it quite close to the top. And then I just want to partial die cut this, and I want to die cut it this side of that line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up this edge of my top plate with the pencil line that I've drawn and cut it like that so that it only cuts this side of the die. Then I can remove the die and you can see that's cut up to that score line. And then I want to see where this finishes down here, because I don't want to overlap the two. So I'm just going to quickly kind of draw around the edge of this so that I don't overlap the two. So then I'm going to do the exact same and just partially die cut this half. So then I'm going to line up this up on my scoreboard. I'm going to score along that pencil line, but only between the die cut bits. I don't want to cut into the die cut bits. And then we can fold this into our Z-fold card, so you can see we're only folding between the die cut bits, and then I can fold that back over. So then we've got our Z-fold card that opens like this. So then I can grab a rubber and just erase those pencil lines. So then I'm going to grab the happy and the birthday from the stamp set, and I'm going to stamp them in some black ink. So then I've got these flowers which I've stamped, coloured and die cut, and I'm going to add those onto the panels. So I'm lining up the die cuts with the die cut pieces on the card. And you'll notice that I didn't fully manage to fit them so that they didn't overlap. But if you do that too, make sure they overlap on this side, not on this side. Otherwise the Z-fold bit won't work properly. Then I'm going to add foam strips behind my sentiment. And I actually only want it to stick to this half, so I kind of forgot that when I was putting on my foam pads. But what I'm going to do is just use my embossing buddy just to take the sticky off of that, so that's not sticky at all anymore. So it's stuck just to that one side. And I'm going to do the same with the birthday. So then when you fold it, it looks like that, which I think is really cute. So for my final card, I'm going to use the light bulb dies, and we're going to create a shaker card this time. So I've got a 4¼ inch square of this sage green cardstock, and I'm going to cut 3 light bulbs out of it. So then I'm going to use my sprays again, and I've got the mustard seed this time and the abandoned coral. So I've got a 4 inch square piece of white cardstock, and I'm going to spray that with the yellow. And I'm going to put that aside to dry. And then I've also got a 4¾ inch square piece of white cardstock that I'm going to spray with the coral. So the yellow is the mustard seed and the coral is the abandoned coral. I got given these sprays for some cards I was making for a magazine, and I literally can't stop using them. They're so good. So you'll see a lot of these on my videos. They're just so nice for just making a quick and easy textured background. So now I've got my die cut piece of cardstock, and I've got a piece of acetate the same size to go behind it. Well, I don't want to add it on yet, so I'm just going to temporarily tape it in place, just so that I know it's in the right place, but I can take it off again. And this acetate is heat resistant. I'm going to add some of my embossing buddy to it. And then I'm going to grab the coordinating stamp and I'm going to stamp through the apertures onto the acetate. So then I'm going to undo that acetate. And then I'm going to heat emboss it with some black embossing powder. Then I'm going to take this sentiment here, but I'm going to cut around it rather than around the flag. Then I'll add some foam pads to the back of it. And then I can start putting my card together. So I'll glue on, I've got a 5x5 inch card blank made from the sage cardstock, and I'll glue on the piece that we sprayed with the coral. So then I'm going to use tape to add these heat embossed light bulbs to the back of my die cut light bulbs. Then I'm going to grab some shaker foam and I'm going to put shaker foam around the outside of each of the light bulbs. And then you need to make sure that there's a really tight join at the end so none of your shaker pieces can come out. So then I'm also going to grab these extra pieces and I'm just going to use those to just add a bit of structure to the outsides, just to hold those outsides up a little bit. So then I'm just going to put a few of these pink gems into each. And then I'm going to take the back off all the shaker foam. And then I'm going to add the yellow piece onto the back of there and just seal that in. Then I've got my cool shaker element, and then I'm just going to grab a pen and I'm going to draw lines down to those light bulbs. So then I'm going to glue this onto my card front. And I think I actually want this in two pieces, the Let's and the Celebrate separately. Now I'm going to add those on there like that. And as you can see, that's really cool with a little shaker element. So then there are all three of today's finished cards. I really hope that you enjoyed creating them with me. Let me know in the comments below which is your favourite. I love to hear which is your favourite. If you enjoyed this video, really appreciate you clicking like below, and you can also press subscribe if you'd like to see future videos. If you press the bell button and select all, then YouTube will also notify you when I've got a new video available. All of the products that I've used for today's cards are listed in the description below, and there's also a link there to my blog where you can find a picture supply list if that helps you find what you're looking for. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope to see you again soon.